All right, and big question, what, in your opinion, what do you think the purpose of education should be?
All my days are spent, all my cards are dealt. Oh, the desolation grows. Every inch revealed as my heart is pierced. Oh, my soul is now exposed. In the oceans deep, in the canyon steep, walls of granite here I stand.
With a school system that hasn't changed in 150 years, generation after generation have suffered through a program that stifles creativity and attempts to put children and youth into a box. This box is a one-size-fits-all system that does not tend to the unique and individual needs of all different types of students. When students don't fit inside this box, they are categorized as unintelligent and incapable, thus getting pushed to the side and left behind.
In other words, we're creating a one-size-fits-all system that needlessly brands many young people as failures when they might thrive if offered a different education whose progress was measured differently.
Call school to the stand and accuse him of killing creativity, individuality, and being intellectually abusive. He's an ancient institution that has outlived his usage. So, Your Honor, this concludes my opening statement, and if I may present the evidence of my case, I will prove it.
Proceed.
Exhibit A. Here's a modern-day phone. Recognize it? Here's a phone from 150 years ago. Big difference, right? Stay with me. Here's a car from today, and here's a car from 150 years ago. Big difference, right? Well, get this. Here's a classroom of today, and here's a class we used 150 years ago. Now, ain't that a shame? In literally more than a century, nothing has changed.
One of the biggest problems in the current system is the misunderstanding of equality versus equity. As Spring says, equality does not mean that everyone will have equal incomes and equal status.
Not every student begins the education race at the same point. Think of it as a racetrack. Some students will be starting education before the start line, while others start when they're almost to the finish line. This is often a result of the way the child was raised. In most cases, children from lower socioeconomic classes are at a disadvantage when beginning their education. This can be a result of lack of materials, families' lack of time to spend with the child, and education being a lack of priority in the home.
It would be nice to see more equal opportunity. I think especially in high population areas that have high incarceration rates and really low funding.
The definition of equity is meeting every student where they are and catering to their needs as individuals.
This proves that teaching the same thing to every student the same way will simply not work. So how can we change? What do you wish that you could change in schools?
A lot.
As the teacher is the most important role in a student's life, other than themselves, of course, this change must be instilled by teachers.
I think I've been wanting to be a teacher for my entire life, probably.
It's like one of the most rewarding jobs you could ever have.
I hope that the environment that I create in a classroom is one where students come in and they're kind of relieved from stress for the day. And they're like, here's a time for me to just have some fun and do something that's really a good opportunity.
But I want to become a teacher for myself because I wanted to prepare students, kids to become citizens of society and have the skills that they need, but also just build relationships. I loved kids and wanted to help them. Yeah.
Teaching must begin with passion. Ayers says that the best teaching awakens the passion, ignites the spark, and also shows the wise ways, the savvy ways to talk to different audiences. A teacher being passionate about something shows kids what it means to have a passion.
Teachers need to strive to understand each and every student individually and who they are outside of the classroom. This can mean getting to know their family and home life, listening to their passions and interests, recognizing that they have a voice, and allowing that voice to be heard.
I'm always thinking about what can I do to connect. And I think that once they know that I care about them, they feel safe to make mistakes or safe to try something new, which is how we learn. We make mistakes, we try new things. So.
I love that I can be creative, I can be a problem solver, and I can be surrounded by people, little children, who are just excited to learn about life.
I need to make it a priority to know my kids first and build relationship, because if I don't know them, then they're not gonna care about, what's over here, or I'm not gonna know how to teach them. I don't know what their background is. I don't know what their world is like. So building relationship is like the most important thing, which I think is easy for teachers to kind of forget about sometimes because there's so much pressure that we need to get them ready for the next assessment that we got coming. So
in this role, you have to prepare, you have to know your stuff, and then you have to be completely willing to change it on the fly.
I mean, you're a teacher, Taylor. Be honest. What do you make? And I wish he hadn't done that. Asked me to be honest because, you see, I have a policy about honesty and ass-kicking, which is, if you ask for it, then I have to let you have it. You want to know what I make? I make parents see their children for who they are and who they can be. You want to know what I make? I make kids question. I make them criticize. I make them apologize and mean it. I make them write, and then I make them read. I make them spell definitely beautiful, definitely beautiful, definitely beautiful, over and over again until they will never misspell either one of those words again. I make them show all their work in math and then hide it on their final drafts in English. I make them realize that if you got this, then you follow this. And if somebody tries to judge you based on what you make, you give them this. Let me break it down for you. Let me break it down for you so you know what I say is true. I make a goddamn difference. Now what about you?
Spend a lot of time with kids before you decide that's something you want to do, because you will be with kids for hours on end every day, and if you don't like being around them, or if you don't have the patience to be with them, then you're not cut out to be probably a classroom teacher like that.
But to always have your eyes open and pay attention to what's happening in the world, pay attention to what other new ideas are coming out, and decide for yourself, how does this resonate with me? I think that's really important, to always be open and thoughtful.
My advice for you is to get as many experiences as possible. With children, without children. Get as much life experience as possible before you go into the classroom.
A lot of times schooling systems don't really focus on individuals. It's very here's all the things, and no matter who you are or what you're like take these exams, do these tests, learn, be smart. And I think it's really important for kids to be able to find something that they're passionate about and be able to channel that and use that as a vehicle for their education.
When I force something, I lose parts of the children. Nobody wants to get forced to do something, and that's something that when I worked in the public school happened a lot.
I hope to do well at treating the kids that I teach like people rather than little kids, or because they know a lot. I mean, they really do. They know a lot.
I wish we could talk to our friends in class.
What do you like about your teacher?
She's nice and she's fun.
Fun? Yeah? What does she do that's fun?
She lets us have extra recess time in the classroom.
And what is your favorite thing about school?
I get to see more of my friends often.
And what is your least favorite thing about school?
Rules.
Rules. What don't you like about rules?
No talking in class.
No talking? And why do you wish you could talk?
so we can share our thoughts to friends.
What do you like about school?
I like PE and library. Well, PE is the most fun thing to do in school.
Yeah, and why is that? Get to run around and...
You get to play games and run around.
Teachers need to teach for each student, not the subject. Schools need to allow students to have a voice. When students have an influence on what they are learning, they are so much more likely to put effort into it. After all, you cannot know a kid whose voice you don't listen to, whose interests are a mystery, whose family is excluded, and whose feelings are viewed as irrelevant to the education process.
The approach to students that are unsuccessful, we'll say that, I guess a lot of the times students are like, we're told to focus on our weaknesses and instead of working on our strengths. And a lot of the times when kids are really not doing well at something, so they're not doing well at math, they might not be able to focus as much time on the things that they enjoy and the things that they're good at. And that becomes really draining and really makes school really difficult because you're in school to learn your way and do things your way.
I love just even like the silly stories they come to school with, and there's like no filter, and it's just like, here I am. And I think that we can learn so much from kids just in the way they approach life and see the world, and ask questions that sometimes like, oh, like they ask that, but it's like, oh, they're like trying to learn. So like we talk about things like race, we talk about things like why are some people like asking for money on the side of the street? Like why did not? And so all these different world issues come up, and a lot of times people don't trust little kids with information, but presenting it in a way that's developmentally appropriate, but also letting them know it's okay to ask questions. And
learn about a student, figure out what they're good at, figure out what they have to offer the world, which is unique in everyone, and use that for their benefit and not to just make them pass a test.
The whole purpose of education should be to create lifelong learners, raise critical thinkers, build strong members of society, improve character, encourage civic participation, and provide a place where children feel safe and listened to despite gender, race, sexuality, or beliefs.
Should be to create, adults that can think well for them, critically think well for themselves, that know the difference between right and wrong, that feel like they have, purpose in life and feel like they can accomplish whatever they're trying to do.
The purpose of education is like to help students, help people learn information so that they can help be a part of a community, to help, some of these kids, I was thinking about the other day, I was having a conversation with a teacher, like some of these kids are going to be our doctors when we're old. Like they're going to be taking care of us. They're going to like take my blood, and I'm like, oh, like I want to prepare them. Like they're going to be in our community. They're going to be all around. And so I want to give them as many skills as they can and let them know that they're loved and that they're accepted and that they can solve any problem. And if they make a mistake, it's okay, but to get back up, because they're the ones that are going to be all around us.
I think it is growth. I think that nobody is ever done growing. And the purpose of our education is to go out and explore and learn new things, and there shouldn't be a limit to that ever.
In elementary, we talk about, in Montessori Elementary, we talk about giving the child the world. Maria Montessori's idea for the elementary curriculum was cosmic education, which sounds really woo-woo, right? But it's not. What she meant was give as many stories as possible about as many things as possible.
Barbara Curtis, a teacher at Washer Elementary School, says that we need to equip kids to be constructive, contributing members of society as grown-ups.
To help prepare students for the world, and I think also to give students self-confidence. I think confidence and believing in yourself and knowing that you have a purpose in the world and that you have something unique to offer the world is the most important driving force in anything, whether it's relationships or education or careers. anything like that. So teachers should be helping students figure out who they are and what they want to be.
I wish that there was a larger emphasis on like teaching kids social skills and learning outside of like sitting in the classroom. I think the classroom is a very old kind of system that is used, and it needs to be updated.
That, I think, is the purpose of education, is to give as many experiences as possible to children so that they can form their own opinions about the world.
But today, we don't need to make robot zombies. The world has progressed, and now we need people who think creatively, innovatively, critically, independently, with the ability to connect. See, every scientist will tell you that no two brains are the same, and every parent with 2 or more children will confirm that claim. So please explain why you treat students like cookie cutter frames or snapback hats, giving them this one-size-fits-all crap.
In our current school system, standardized tests are taking over. These eliminate creativity, create anxiety, and do not help the students at all.
It really kind of is messed up though, how often kids take tests and how often students feel bad about themselves because of how we rank them.
There are 4 main types of assessments: authentic, formative, summative, and standardized. Oftentimes, only summative and standardized are used.
But the rest of the education system needs a lot more like activity-based learning, exercise-based learning is awesome, musical and art-based learning.
Like recess is a thing that gets continually shortened more and more, or PE or music, because teachers are required to do more and expected to do more, and so those things are taken away. But I think people are underestimating the value of those things.
A lot of them, unfortunately, have a lot of pressure, right? A lot of pressure to perform to standardized tests, to get a certain amount of work done in a certain time frame, and that's not always in the best interest of the children.
Curriculums are created by policymakers, most of which have never taught a day in their life. Just obsessed with standardized tests. They think bubbling in a multiple choice question will determine success. That's outlandish. In fact, these tests are too crude to be used and should be abandoned, but don't take my word for it. Take Frederick J. Kelly, the man who invented standardized testing, who said, and I quote, "These tests are too crude to be used and should be abandoned."
About standardized tests and all of those different things, which assessments are important because they help inform your instruction, so you know what students need, but it's also important to really have time to build skills that kids just need for life. So self-regulation skills, and we've been focusing a lot on that in kindergarten, how to work together, what it means to have a growth mindset, to push through and to not think I'm smart or I'm not smart, or if I messed up now, like, oh, I'm a horrible person. Like, no, like it's okay, like we keep working and keep doing our best. And so having a growth mindset within the education setting, I think has been like a big movement that we've been moving towards, which is really beneficial. And students really adopt that language because it helps them to become lifelong learners.
Education is so much more than sitting at a desk for 8 hours a day, learning science, English, and math, and fitting into the standards society has set for us. Throughout the semester, our eyes have been opened to the true purpose of education, one that puts children above subjects and lifelong learning above standardization.
Children and youth should no longer be forced into cookie-cutter shapes and boxes. They should be encouraged to explore their passions, grow into strong members of society, and be taught to have a voice. We need to begin to listen to students and see them as individuals who have something new to contribute to this world. Education needs to cater to each and every student's needs.
This requires a new perspective, a complete transformation of the public school system. We need to start this change, for students are entirely our future. There's an entire world in each and every student, and we have the power to leave our footsteps and make a difference in education.
Welcome to the real world, she said to me, condescendingly. Take a seat, take your life, plot it out in black and white. Well, I never lived the dream of the prom kings and the drama queens. I'd like to think the best of me is still hiding up my sleeve. But I love to tell you, stay inside the lines. But something's better on the other side. I wanna run